Hi guys, this is Alex, the dev for Neolithic, and it's been 3 whole months since the last video. So this video is meant to be out at the end of February, so I have to apologise about that. I'm sorry, I know a lot of you have been waiting for the update. There have been a few reasons for this, including, bugs and dev issues as well as some personal stuff. But anyway, I don't want to get too much into that now. And so I just wanted to let you guys know that I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still here and still fully focused on the project. I've just had a few bad weeks, unfortunately. But anyway, on with the game. So you'll notice there have been a few changes to the UI, and I've cleaned things up a bit. Still doesn't really feel great to me, but at least it's a lot cleaner and more consistent. But let me know what you guys think. On the left there are some new buttons, and these buttons are designed to help you find characters, as I've noticed this has been a bit of a chore in game. So you can get characters to display a specific stat, the drop down here, which helps to find characters who might be good at specific things. For example, a character with high finesse or something like that. And there's an idle villager button here too, as well as buttons to select characters with tools like picks, axes, farming tools and hunting tools. When you select a character, their basic stats are now displayed up the top right too, to make it a little bit easier to see. But on with the gameplay. This is picking up roughly from where we left off last time, and we just got some grain in and we have a couple of people harvesting wood. First thing I might do is to get some stone coming in, which we'll need to create more buildings. To mine anything including stone, you'll need a pick. I've been careful to choose a starting position with stone nearby, but as stone's still a bit of a walk, I'll get him to also craft a basket, and this means that he'll be able to carry more each trip. And before we move on, I might also put down some olive trees, and this is another case of planning ahead. Olives can be used to make olive oil, which is a great trading commodity, particularly early on, but it takes quite a while for olive trees to grow, so it's good to get them in early. Another good option to get happening early is some animal herds, and even though goats grow faster than olive trees, it will still take a while for the herd to get up to size and be fully productive. An animal herd is the first building we're going to create that requires a specialist worker, which is a big part of Neolithic. A specialist is someone who focuses on only one task. Once a character is set to be a specialist, they can't be ordered to do anything else unless you specifically tell them to. They'll also start to gain skill points at whatever it is that they're doing, making them a lot better at the task. Herding is the first and most basic job, and the character will follow around the animals, harvesting things like milk or fur, and eventually harvesting meat when the animal reaches maturity. And animals will breed until the herd reaches its limit, and each herd requires one worker. As meat is needed for the population to grow, which I'll explain a bit more on later on, this is a great and much more consistent way of getting meat, sort of over hunting, as well as the other animal products such as wool, hide, horns, milk and so on, which can be crafted and refined into a lot of different items and products. And before we get to the new buildings, the first thing you need to know is that some buildings require roads to be nearby, and one of these buildings is the woodworking station. And a station is a place where characters can craft or refine goods. So the fire is actually a station that we've been using already, which we needed to create some of the basic items like axes. And at the woodworking station we can refine timber, which is needed for most buildings. So you just simply select a villager and tell them to refine timber, and they'll just go to the workstation and do it until you tell them to stop. But you can also tell them to craft, say, 100 if you only need 100 and that kind of thing. Next, to get clay, which is a resource that we'll need to be using a lot, we need to make a clay pit. And this is the most basic of the many mines that you can get in Neolithic. And we'll need the timber that we just crafted to build it. All you need to do is put it near water, and once it's constructed you just right click on it with a stone miner. And this will mean that we can harvest clay, but clay doesn't do much on its own, so we'll need to refine it into mud brick and pottery. And to do this, first we'll create a bricking terrace to create mud brick, and once we've got enough mud brick we can create a pottery kiln, which is a place we can obviously use to craft pottery. So here's probably a good place to stop and just talk a little bit more about character needs. And so I've mentioned this before, they obviously need to eat and drink and sleep and so on, which they manage themselves. But to increase the population, they also consume goods. And once they move into a house, they have certain requirements that they need to be able to keep increasing the population. So with the level 1 house, all they need is some meat, and they'll continue to have children. When you upgrade to a level 2 house, they also consume some pottery. And then with the level 3, some furniture and so on, until at the very high level houses, they consume quite a lot of luxury goods. So you might kind of ask, what's the advantage to having high level houses then? Well, high level houses support more residents in the one spot, which means higher population density, or a larger number of people living in that particular area. Historically, for people to specialise and for economies to grow, they didn't just need high population, but they needed high population density. And so we're talking cities and towns. And so the more people within easy walking distance, the more trade basically happens. So you'll need a lot of people living nearby to build certain buildings. At the very basic level, the potter is like this. So before you can build a specialist potter, we'll need to have enough people living nearby. So fast forward a bit, and now we can build the potter. And so this is the first specialist building where something actually gets manufactured. And once it's built, you simply select a character and right click on the building, and the character now focuses all their energy into creating pottery. And they do it a lot more efficiently than characters just crafting at the pottery kiln, even though we can still do this if we need a little bit of extra pottery for this or that. And upgrading this building will mean more characters can work here, as well as boosting their productivity. So buildings can be upgraded just like houses can. Now that we have a lot of pottery coming in, we can upgrade some of these houses. To upgrade them to the next level after this, we'll also need some furniture, which we can create at the woodworking station for now. But as the needs grow, it'll be worth creating a specialist carpenter who produces both timber and furniture. So with our fast growing population now, we're starting to fill up the storage that we have available. So to really kick things up a notch, I'm going to build a large storehouse and finally the town's first granary. And this will massively increase the amount of items and food that we can store. So now our town is starting to look a little bit more like a real town. There's a population of nearly 100. So I think that's probably a pretty good place to leave it for the moment and continue on next time. Moving forward, the schedule is a little bit behind. Like I mentioned before, it's about a month and a half behind, unfortunately. At the moment, while I didn't plan for any official release date, I was originally planning to, or wanting to get the game to Steam Early Access by July. So at this stage it's looking a little bit more like that'll probably be about October, unfortunately. It's really kind of sad to say actually, but I'll be trying to pull that back as much as I can, and I know a lot of you are quite eager to play the game, and for those people there'll be ways you can test it before then. And I think I've got a lot of you guys on my list, so you're part of the Kickstarter, and we're sending out emails to you guys and updating you when it's time to move forward. But for the moment, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.